Hi, my name's Nayla. Thank you for clicking on this video. In today's meditation, I wanted to talk about how meditation has cured my anxiety fast. I've been meditating for about 10 years now, but I have to say that when I changed my technique over the last year or so, that is a thing that's really helped to cure my anxiety, because a lot of anxiety is stemmed from fears and from constantly criticizing yourself. So the techniques that I actually used were to combat a lot of that. So the whole act of meditation itself is purely to go within, into your mind. A lot of the times when I'm explaining meditation, it's usually a case of meditation itself is like saying that you exercise. So within exercise, you have so many different types of exercises, and I see meditation exactly the same way. So there's so many different types of meditations that you can use. So if you want to just use it purely for relieving anxiety, it is so much better to go through one of these techniques rather than just sitting there and calming the mind, although that is one of the techniques. So without further ado, I'll go through each of the techniques now. So the first technique that I have is something that I call the loving meditation. It's something that I actually came across through somebody called Dr. Joe Dispenza. I've been to one of his workshops and I've read all of his books, and the whole concept behind his meditations is to heal the body. A lot of it is to heal the body as well as manifesting, but it's very much to heal the body. And one of the techniques he uses is something called blessing of the energy centers, which goes through each different center. With each of the different centers, you basically feel amazing in each of the areas. And the whole science behind feeling amazing is the chemicals, the different types of chemicals that you want to start producing. So everybody knows that the stress hormone is cortisol and the love hormone is oxytocin. And the idea is to produce as much oxytocin in your body as possible, because that really heals the body. So the whole point of loving meditation in order to relieve anxiety is because you don't criticize yourself. So a lot of anxiety really stems from criticizing yourself and worrying, whereas when you just feel love, you really don't feel any of the worry and fear emotions that create the cortisol in your body to be produced. Rather that you produce the oxytocin in your body instead. So to feel that as much as possible in your meditation is so healing for the body, and it literally eliminates anxiety. When I sit down to meditate, it has to be for a minimum of 45 minutes. I know they talk about how, even if you meditate for 10, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, I personally don't think it's enough. If you can really sit down for anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour, it will have a massive impact, especially if you can go through the loving meditation. In terms of how to do the loving meditation, you basically sit down, close your eyes as you would in any meditation, and you start to think about, you can start off by thinking about something very significant in your life that made you feel absolutely amazing. So the thing that I started to use was the day that my husband proposed. That day for me, I just felt like I was walking on cloud 9. So the idea in the meditation is to bring up that feeling and start to really feel it all over again. So feel as if you're back there and you are bringing up that emotion. And the idea is to keep that emotion within you and start to then think about the heart center. So as you think about the heart center, you are still feeling that emotion and you start to almost let it overpower you, but in a good way. You'll start to feel absolutely amazing. And if you can carry that on for as long as possible, it basically means that you're creating so many oxytocin hormones in your body that you are not only healing your body, but you're completely relieving all of your anxiety, and you're just getting rid of all the worry and all the fears that you've been having, throughout the day. So loving meditation is something that I absolutely swear by, and it's something that I can bring up, because if you can start to then bring it up into your heart center, you'll create a memory of it. So this is something that Dr. Joe talks about a lot, but basically it just means that you want to create a memory within the body so that you can just, like that, bring up that feeling and start relieving your anxiety and start creating that oxytocin. Okay, the second meditation that I have is something that I call observing thoughts meditation, where you sit down and you observe your thoughts. So the idea is to not judge them, not entertain them, not do anything with them, just let them go by and not even feel scared by them. There are so many thoughts that you can have, especially if you have anxiety, where the thought almost cripples you. But if you're observing it and not judging it and not trying to get defensive with it, or even too scared where you want to think of something else so you completely avoid it, instead you almost go into it and allow yourself to go through it, if that makes sense. And if you can stick to it, then it just means that you'll get out the other end and you'll realise that that thought never had any power over you at all. So you just want to observe the thoughts and not do anything else with them. And if you can sit there for anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour, by the end of it, it'll start to just fall off you. It's as though it's like reading your inbox, and say you've got 50, 60, 100 different emails, and each thought that you have is like one of those emails. And the more you can just observe them and let them pass by, it's almost like reading one of those emails. And then by sticking to it, by the end of the 45 minutes to an hour, it'll then become like you have finished reading all your emails, and now you have 0 unread emails left. And if you know what I mean, if you have a desk job and you work with emails, it just relieves so much anxiety just not having any emails to read when you have so many. And it's the same thing in meditation. When you've got so many thoughts, you almost need to process them, and just let yourself observe them and then let them go. So that was my second technique. My third meditation technique is called empowering thoughts. I sit down and I sit comfortably in a quiet place, and I will have some empowering thoughts. So whether you call them affirmations or positive statements of power, they're basically just phrases that you say to yourself to make you feel better about yourself. So if you're scared a lot of the time, then you want to work on more confidence type affirmations or confidence type statements. So if you have a list of powerful statements such as, I love who I am, I'm very confident in what I do, I am good enough, I am relentless in everything that I do, I have excellent coping skills, and if you start to say these phrases to yourself over and over and over again, then you start to feel so much better about yourself. And the idea within this meditation is to really believe what you're saying. And something that I've learned through a hypnotherapist called Marissa Peer is that when somebody else tells you you're great, or you're relentless in everything that you do, a lot of the times you don't really believe positive things that other people say about you, because they might have an agenda. But when you say it to yourself, there is no agenda. Your brain will literally believe everything that you say. So if you start to tell yourself positive things on a daily basis, especially in this kind of meditation, then you are constantly empowering yourself throughout that meditation. And if you can do it just for that hour that you're sat in the meditation, you'll be able to do it as you're walking down the street. Because the thing about meditation and saying it every single day is eventually it's going to be part of your subconscious mind, and then it'll be part of who you are until you start to believe it. So if you can have some call it 10, 15 powerful statements that you can just say to yourself over and over again, and that is literally your meditation. You will literally say it over and over again. So that is something that I've used in order to relieve my anxiety from just from things like feeling like I'm not good enough, feeling like people are better than me, other people are more intelligent than me, I'm not good enough to be to have certain jobs. Whatever I've felt in the past, I've been able to completely counteract it with positive statements like this, and I will literally tell myself over and over and over again, to the point where when I'm out in my day-to-day, and if I have certain negative thoughts that do come to me, I am now able to completely counteract them with a positive statement about myself straight away, without even allowing myself to feel that, before that anxiety actually gets to me from feeling the negative or the fearful thought. So this is something that I definitely swear by, and I have another technique that sort of uses this, which I'll talk about in a moment. The next one that I have is something I call the reading meditation. So the thing about reading meditation is a lot of the times we have this chatter in our minds, and even though the other meditations do help to be able to sort of slow down the chatter and completely get rid of it, a lot of the times you don't know what you're thinking, so you have to be able to process what you're thinking now before you can actually change it to something else. The thing about this reading meditation is this is actually the one that helped me the quickest out of absolutely everything, because sometimes when you can be sat in meditation, you can almost be blind to the different thoughts that are going on in your mind, and you can totally forget the can be chatter that's going on, but you almost entertain it straight away, so you don't really know that you're actually entertaining that chatter. Whereas with reading, this is something where you can find out exactly what you're thinking. So what I mean by reading meditation is when you read something, so say you're reading a paragraph in a book, or you're reading an article or anything on the internet, and as you're reading through it, I read through it really, really, really slowly, and I slow it down so much that I can already see myself looking to the end of the paragraph to find out what the rest of the paragraph is going to say. Or I look at different distracting images, on that page, or I start just looking around, and I know, because I notice that, I work on eliminating it. So you'll also hear some of the different chatter that goes on. So when you're reading, you're trying to concentrate on something, and all of a sudden you just hear this chatter coming through. And the idea is, when you're reading it, to allow that chatter, allow that noise to come in, observe it like you would in the meditation, but then let it go and go back to reading. And sometimes I would find that the anxiety would begin when I wanted to be able to just drown out that noise and completely eliminate it, so that I could just carry on doing what I was doing, but that in itself was causing the anxiety. So instead, by letting those thoughts come through, observe them, don't judge them, don't entertain them, and then let them go and be patient with it, and then read the rest of it very, very slowly, and just see what comes up. But that was, for me, it was the biggest thing that actually helped me to completely get rid of my anxiety. And a lot of it was knowing exactly what I was already thinking. So when you know what you're thinking, then you can start making these positive statements to start saying the opposite for yourself to just eliminate it. Then I have something called the writing meditation. So this is exactly the same as the reading meditation, but instead, everything that you write very, very slowly. And again, it's the same sort of concept where all this chatter will come to you, all this fear, this anxiety will start to come to you, and you'll be able to process it in a much slower way, because a lot of anxiety really is your brain going a million miles an hour and you're not being able to catch up with it, and a lot of it is making your body react straight away, not allowing you to process what it is actually that's going on. So once you're able to process it, and you know what's going on, and you then slow it down, then you'll be able to not only relieve it, but you'll be able to counteract it for every other time that it does actually come up. So writing meditation is definitely something that helps fast. And the last one that I have is something which is called the walking meditation. And the walking meditation is very, very similar to the empowering meditation. So walking for me was actually started because I was basically too lazy to go to the gym. So I wanted to start doing 10,000 steps a day. And my own way. I was able to go for a walk, but I was one of those people that didn't really like going for a walk on my own, so I needed to find something to entertain me. So this I actually found in the end, was something that really worked for me. So if you have a lot of empowering statements, a lot of powerful, positive statements about yourself that you already have, when you go walking, you are out by yourself, you're walking, and you are able to start thinking of these powerful, positive statements about yourself. And the best thing about this is that the fact that you're walking, it's almost as if the movement itself really adds power to those statements. So when you talk about things like confidence, for instance, and you start telling yourself how confident you are, you start telling yourself how much you love who you are, that you are good enough to achieve, if there's a specific goal that you want to achieve, that you're good enough to achieve it, then saying those over and over again on this walk has an absolute profound effect on you, and you start eliminating the anxiety purely because you are starting to really love who you are instead, and you're starting to really like yourself as a person, as opposed to the anxiety that is constantly criticizing of you, constantly worrying that you're not good enough. But when you counteract it with really positive, powerful statements, you are starting to change that chatter in your mind, and you're starting to tell yourself that you are worthy, you are good enough, you can do anything, and it's just being able to constantly tell yourself that over and over again. But the walking meditation is absolutely perfect for that, because once you come back and you've just done your walking meditation, you'll just feel really proud of yourself, really pumped up, really motivated to really do what you want to do. Okay, so those are all my meditation techniques. So through those techniques, that is how I've been able to completely cure my anxiety. But when I say cure, it's not a case of you just do it the once and then it cures. I haven't gone back to the reading or the writing meditations much, because they work so well. But when I do them again, I don't have that chatter in my mind anymore. The whole point of all of these exercises is to do them on a daily basis. So you've got to find the one that works for you the most, the one that you feel like works for you, so that you can do it on a daily basis. It's like, meditation is like showering. You don't just do it the once and you clean forever. You do it every single day, and you make a ritual out of it, and you start to enjoy it. That's the best thing about it. I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I basically give myself an extra hour before I start getting ready for work. And sometimes, most of the time, I'm so tired, but it's like I can't stop, because I know that I have that hour to just feel absolutely amazing. So I want to do it. It makes me want to do it. So thank you for watching. I really do hope that you do try these techniques, and that it does help you. And if it does, please comment and let me know. And also, please don't forget to subscribe. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.